Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. The main focus of my vintage baseball card collection is collecting cards of Hall of Famers. However, there are a couple other players that I do collect that are not Hall of Famers that I believe should be in the Hall of Fame, and one of them is Pete Rose. And I have several Pete Rose cards on my 100 cards for $10,000 list, and I managed to pick up one of them at this year's National. It is the 1967 Topps Pete Rose and is the 34th card that I've picked up off of that 100 card list. So I'm going to show off that 1967 Topps Pete Rose, as well as some of the other 1960s Pete Rose cards that I have in my collection. So let's turn the camera around and check them out. All right, here it is. What a beautiful example here of his 67 Topps. Saw this at one of the tables, I think on the very first day, but I didn't end up picking this one up, I think, until Friday. This is one of my last pickups of the National. So glad that no one else snagged it up before I did. I believe there was someone else, I forget who it was, made the comment of that they saw this card and they were tempted to pick it up. I'm glad they didn't, because I'm very happy with the look of this PSA 4. PSA 4s are my sweet spot. Don't mind dropping 2 grades lower than the decade grade for a 67 Topps. Love the centering on that. Registration is nice on it as well. Nice clean back. This overall great copy, right in my price point. Pete Rose cards, for not being in the Hall of Fame, are right in there near the top. Not maybe up with the Mantles and Mays and Aarons and things like that, but definitely a second tier in terms of cost for Pete Rose cards. And so I'll get into the numbers here in a minute on this pickup, but I think I got a good deal on this, and again, a great looking example of the 67 Topps. So my other 60s cards of Pete Rose don't quite have all the 60s yet. I don't have his rookie card. That one is way down on my list. It's not even on the 100 cards for $100,000 list that I have. But the next one is, of course, his second year card. First solo card, one of my favorite vintage cards. I don't know a single person who does not like this Pete Rose card. Just a great image. You got the big Rookie Cup logo there. Another PSA 4 centered very nicely. A little bit of discoloration along the border there, which probably dropped it down to a 4. If it wasn't for that discoloration, I'm sure it would have gotten a higher grade and out of my price range at the time. And there's the back of it. So I have the 64. I also have his 65 in this god-awfully ugly BVG holder. Now, this one I bought from my local card shop many years ago and had them graded by BVG, one of my worst hobby mistakes. This is before I was really into centering, so obviously this is an off-centered copy. I'm still going to get it converted to PSA at some point, but this may be one that I decide to upgrade. It's, again, for my taste right now, not the best centered, but overall, just a great looking copy of his 65 card. And there is the back, nice as well. And finally, the last card I have from the 1960s. So I have his 64, 65. Here's his 66. And then with the 67, I'm only missing his 68 and 69. Again, other than his rookie. Another PSA 4 copy. Not a huge fan of the basic 66 Topps design, but this one looks really nice. Nice and simple. Love the 60s uniform of the Reds. And there is the back. So, of course, I have a lot of his 70s cards as well, only missing a few from the 70s. So I have a good number toward his run. Of course, he has many cards into the 80s. At some point, I'll eventually pick them up. Again, probably his rookie card is going to be the last holdout to completing his run, but hopefully I intend to eventually complete his playing days run. So back to the 67 tops I picked up at the National. So how did I do in terms of my 100 cards for $10,000 list? I had this 67 Pete Rose on my list in a PSA 5, and I thought for a PSA 5 I would have to spend around $100. Well, obviously I picked up this great PSA 4 copy, and I spent it cost me $70 at the National, so I am good by $30 to what I thought I would have to spend for a PSA 5. How did I do for a PSA 4 copy? On the low end, they're going for around $39. Average right now for a PSA 4 is $60, and on the high end, $80. So I'm right in between that average and high end of the current comps. But for the eye appeal, I thought it was well worth it to pay $70 for this card. So here's where I am after 34 cards now on the 100 cards for $10,000 list. I thought at this point I would have to spend $3,085. In fact, I have only spent for these 34 cards $1,605, so I am $1,480 to the good. Continue to chip away at that $10,000 total price tag for these cards. I'm hoping to maybe come in no more than $6,000 when all's said and done. We'll see if I'm able to do that or not, but would love to know what you think about this 1967 Topps Pete Rose card that I picked up at the National, and the other 1960s Pete Rose cards that I have in my collection. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.